What's up, everyone? Colin Beckford here from Scales. Today I will be analyzing Hajime Miura's 7th place World's 4A Freestyle. This was undoubtedly Scales' favorite freestyle of X Division routines from 2019. Hajime clearly kind of pushed the boundaries of yo-yoing in general by introducing a full 3-minute freestyle of soloham, and it was led with some very heavy controversy as he placed very low with an extremely new and innovative set of tricks, which is really interesting. Today, I'm going to click this freestyle. I've already recorded my clicks for it, so I'm going to commentate over those and explain why I think Hajime placed where he did, and also at the end talk about why I don't really think him getting 7th is a bad thing. Actually, I think it is for the better maybe in yo-yoing, as we may find out in the future. So let's get into it. Starting out this first combo already, Hajime does a few very difficult tricks revolving around this kind of orbit style where he may be going behind his wrist above his head, as you see there, is very difficult as well. So we're already off to a very strong start. As you may notice though, it does take a bit of time to set up soloham, each of these throws, maybe 2 seconds. This sequence also is very difficult, sort of like that C6 style motion behind his arm. And then moving on, Hajime does a lot of tricks where he'll launch one yo-yo up and then move the other on the string segment, which is really interesting. I find all of these very difficult from my perspective. That intro was also very effective as well. It was a quick mount, meaning he was doing tricks right away as soon as both the yo-yos landed onto the string. Again, we're seeing some very difficult orbit maneuver style tricks here. Hajime putting regens into his freestyle is also very smart in my opinion, as he was kind of able to maximize on a bit of time more. He had a small drop there that I missed at first, but overall off to a very great start from a trick perspective. Now we have some one-handed tricks. That whip was very difficult, as well as just getting both yo-yos to move with one hand in general. Now you see is doing some boingy boing variations. That one, the yo-yos kind of moved from right to left, I believe, or left to right, which is very difficult. Again, Hajime is showing off a lot of really good new concepts, but he is taking a lot of time with binding his yo-yos and throwing them as well. Here we have some really difficult elements, but as you see, he's kind of repeating some stuff. That basic one where he kind of launches one yo-yo up and swings the other, he's probably done that about 2 or 3 times by now. Here we see some more regens. Again, very impressive. And this trick is also very interesting. Like I was talking earlier, he'll kind of do an action with the yo-yo while launching the other yo-yo up. Very difficult, very impressive trick. Again, you see that here. He has a lot of variations of that element. Now we're seeing some leg tricks, which are good for variety. With soloham, you can't really check all of the boxes of variation because it's hard to do stuff like horizontal. If you see back there, those hops where the yo-yos didn't leave the string, if you notice, I didn't score those. That's because the yo-yos didn't leave the string. Here we have an insanely difficult trick where he does a chain reaction and recaptures it from behind his back. Extremely difficult. That was probably the highest scoring routine of his, or the highest scoring trick of this routine. Unfortunately, he missed this ending. It would have been a great finish. In retrospect, watching my clicks for this, I probably would have given him +1 for one of those, since he did land one of the yo-yos technically, which is still a 4A trick. However, I think the point of the trick was for him to land both of them. Overall, very impressive freestyle. And now for some comments about why I think this is okay that it got 7th. Clearly, Hajime was doing tricks that were ahead of the rest of his competition. Nobody was really doing the same trick style of him at all. Ray did have some soloham in his freestyle, but I think Hajime was kind of doing a different set of tricks for the most part. A lot of new stuff, maybe inspired by Diablo and whatnot. This freestyle didn't score very high because it had a lot of setup time. There were a few repeated elements, which is kind of the nature of soloham. It takes a long time to set up, and it is very difficult to execute a lot of elements, especially when one yo-yo 4A players are doing tricks just very fast and are able to regenerate between tricks very seamlessly. Hopefully though, this freestyle questions the separation of soloham from normal 4A. Hajime is clearly proving that there's a lot of tricks you can do and even more to be discovered as well. And I hope a lot of players kind of take after this. I even think it could pour over into 1A or other divisions in a sense where if you're doing tricks that are unique and people find them very interesting but they're scoring low, I do feel like in some cases the system could catch up to you in a beneficial way. For example, I remember players like Zach Gormley, before he had won Worlds, there were cases where he wouldn't get scored very high because his tricks were so out of the box compared to people above him. And I feel like eventually judges kind of realized how difficult the tricks that he was doing was, and eventually he ended up doing better, obviously, as he won Worlds. So hopefully in this case, I think maybe judges will realize that soloham is very difficult and either it deserves its own division or its scoring should be re-questioned in combination with 4A. Overall, this is an amazing freestyle. I wouldn't get too upset that this got 7th because clearly it did a great job at impressing the whole yo-yo world, and I think that's what matters the most here. We can all agree this is a world-class freestyle, and its placing doesn't really define it in this case. Overall, I hope you enjoy this analysis, and check out other videos on our YouTube. We'll see you in the next installment of Scales. Peace.